Hey guys, this is Leah with Scott Leroy Marketing, and in today's tip video I am going to show you how to upload a PDF into DocuSign to send that off to your clients to get that electronically signed. So, in this example, let's say the agent on the other side doesn't use DocuSign. Let's say they're with another company and they just email you an offer signed by their clients and it's attached to the email, so that would come over as a PDF. So you'd want to save it to your computer first. Okay, that's where we'd be at this. So you save that contract or whatever the form may be to your computer first. It would download as a PDF. And I will now show you how to add it to your DocuSign room to get it electronically signed. Now keep in mind, please, that if you are just now starting your transaction, that you do need to start your transaction in Command directly. It's really important in order for your Command opportunity to link to the DocuSign room. That would have to be started in Command first. So I'll include a link in the description of this YouTube video that'll give you a 20-minute overview of how to start your transaction properly. And then at this point now, we are going to add in our form by clicking the Add button on the top right of our DocuSign room. Okay, so if you are, just going into DocuSign, feel free to pause it to get into your DocuSign room, and you can actually go to realestate.docusign.com to log in. Again, that's realestate.docusign.com to log in order to access your previously created room. And again, best practice would be to create that room in Command first. All right, so now we're adding that PDF that you have saved to your computer by clicking the Add button on the top right of the Documents tab of your room. So in the Documents tab of your room, we're clicking Add on the top right. Now let's go ahead and select Computer from that dropdown. All right, then it will start to search your computer. So depending on where you have that form saved, you can search your computer to go ahead and double click on the form to pull that in. All right, it's making me log in randomly real quick, so hang tight. And you can also pause the video to go ahead and search your computer for the form if you're having any trouble finding that. All right. There we go. So I can see that new form has been added in. Just something to note, these little icons right here on the forms will denote the differences in your form. So if that's a signed form, if that's a DocuSign interactive form, or if that is a PDF. So just to note the main differences between a PDF and an interactive form with the blue icon here. Okay, if it has a blue icon, when you click on that, that should have all of the text fields already added on it. So I'll actually show you that to compare the difference here. So if I open that interactive form, that will have the text fields added already on it, so you can go ahead and click to start typing in the information right away. Okay, and in this situation, if it was a DocuSign interactive form, the initial boxes and the signature fields will automatically display on the form once you bring it into the envelope and add the recipients. And again, the tip video in the description of this video will walk you through that process. If that's what you're looking for, it'll show you how to access these interactive forms, pull it into your room, edit, and send it to your clients for signatures. So check that out if you need it. All right, but notice that there are those clickable fields, the fillable fields. So the nature of a PDF is that it's not editable unless you have some sort of software like DocuSign. So I'm going to show you how you can actually add fields to a PDF to make it editable. You can add text fields, initial fields, signature fields, and so forth, and send that off for signatures. So the first thing that I'm going to do, so you can, if you're looking at the form, you can just X out of it. I'm going to walk you through creating an envelope to edit the PDF and add your recipients. Okay, so in order to edit a PDF in DocuSign, you have to first add it to an envelope. Okay, so on the very top of your room toolbar here, you'll see this envelopes option. If you're used to using dot loop does not have this concept, so I know this will be new for you. But to make sense of it for you, just channel snail mail here. Okay, so snail mail, what would I do first if I needed to send something? I would grab an envelope. Okay, so in the envelope section, I'll go ahead and click the new option on the top right. Okay, that will start your new envelope. And again, channeling snail mail here. What's the first thing you do when you grab an envelope? You put your forms in it. All right, so first section here is we're adding the documents to it. So I'll want to go ahead and select the room docs. So the top blue button. And that will pull up a list of any forms that are currently in your room. And you can select whichever form you'd like to pull in. Okay, you can select multiple at a time as well if you need to. And click Add Selected. So I see I have the form added in. Okay, next step to sending a letter in the mail, I would add the recipients to it. All right, so in this section here, I'll click Add Recipient from the drop down here. And since it's a PDF, you'll only have two options here. Okay, so this might look different than you're used to, but you'll always just want to click that top option, typically. So for room participants here, and that will give you a list of your clients that are currently in your DocuSign room. Okay, so these are populating over from your command opportunity. So that's how they got in here. And that's another reason you'll want to start your DocuSign room from your opportunity, is that's how all your clients' information pulls over to DocuSign. And we'll click Add Selected. All right, once I have the recipient or recipients selected, and actually let me show you multiple in this situation. Okay, so of course you can add more than one recipient. This is controlling if they need to sign, just view, receive a copy. But 9 times out of 10 you'll want them to go ahead and needs to sign. And on the top right, we'll go ahead and click Next. So on this section of DocuSign, this is when we would actually add the fields and be able to edit the PDF. So on the left-hand side, I'll notice a bunch of fields going down my screen. The most used ones I feel like are at the top. But something new, again, if you are new to DocuSign from dot-loop, something a little different here. On the very top left, you'll see a drop-down menu, and that will give you to show you your clients' names along with an associated color. So that color controls what color these fields are. So if I click on the other one, it'll, the other client that is, it will change all of these fields to blue. So this helps me be able to easily see, which fields have been laid for which clients. So I'll show you what that looks like. So if this is a PDF, again, in this example, the agent on the other side sent you the offer signed by their clients, and you are now needing to send this form to your clients. Let's say they went to Florida in the middle of the transaction. Of course they did. And now you need to send that for electronic signatures. Okay, I can go ahead and add initial fields to the bottom of each one of the pages that would require that. So you can scroll to wherever on your form would need the initial fields, and then on the left-hand side, we're going to go ahead and click on the initial option, line our mouse up with wherever you would want to lay the initial box, and click to drop it. Now I want to do the same thing for the other client now. So I'll click on the drop down on the top left and change that to the other client. Click the initial box on the left-hand side to line my mouse up and click to drop it. You guys always feel free to pause the video so that you can follow along or practice, play around. I know that's how I learn best as well. Okay, so in practice here, especially this is a North Carolina form, so I know your form will look different. However, you'll need to add the initial box maybe to several pages at a time. So in best practice, I would typically go through and add, all the initial boxes for one client down the entire form, and then all initial boxes for the other client. Now laying the signature boxes are pretty similar. There is something to note though, so if you're taking notes, this would be a noteworthy moment. So when you're laying signature fields for the clients, same concept here where you'll need to lay both colors for your clients, but an extra step needs to be taken for the date signed to populate. So you'll need to also add that date signed option. It will automatically fill in the date for the client whenever they go to sign it. However, for the date to populate, you need to add the field separately. So I'll add that for each client here. And I can tell they're the two different colors, so I know that each of my clients are able to sign that. All right, so now let's talk about adding text fields to the PDF. All right, this can be helpful for a variety of reasons. Of course, if you want to make an edit to a form, or if you need to make, if you need to make a correction to a previously signed form, for example, you can add a text box to make those edits. So for whatever reason you want to add a text box to this PDF. So in this example, I'm going to use that this is a fully signed document, or, when the agent on the other side sent me this, they got their name incorrect, like they're going to use their full name instead of just their nickname. Whatever the case may be that you need to make a correction. So a couple things here, just to note a little extra. On the left-hand side, you'll see a gray toolbar. If you ever need a cross-out tool, so strike-through tool, I would say, that would be the pencil icon. There's only one thing in here, so maybe make note of that. Okay, I had to hunt for it to find it. There is a line tool, so if for any reason you need to make a correction to this PDF, you could go ahead and strike that through by clicking on one side and then clicking on the other. So now to lay a text field on the very top here. So this is where you'll primarily stay. It's the very top one on the left side, gray toolbar here. That's where all your fields will be. So in this case, I need to go ahead and lay a text box. And this part is pretty important because there are some settings that you'll need to work with as far as text boxes go. So when you lay the text box down, so all I did was click the text box, and same concept, I clicked on the form wherever I wanted to lay it. Then I'll notice that the dots on the corners of the field, all right, and I'll only see those if I click on the field, just a heads up. That will allow me to click and drag to expand the text field however big I want it. All right, but remember how I mentioned that the color coordinates to the client. So if the text field is solid, that color, your client will be required to fill it in. That's good for initial boxes, but not necessarily something we need for text boxes. Okay, so in that case, when you lay a text box, off default, it will be a required field for your client to fill in. Okay, so you can easily change that though. If you click on, so the settings will be on the right-hand side here, as long as you're clicking on the field. Okay, that disappears if you're not clicking on the field. But on the right-hand side, I can go ahead and uncheck that it's a required field. Okay, maybe this is something I want to fill in as the agent, and I do not need my clients to fill this in. So a step even further, I can mark that as read only, so my clients would not be able to fill in that field. Sorry. All right, one more thing that's really important, and just a quick note though, you can save that as a custom field. So if you would like to go ahead and save these two items as a custom field, because that would be maybe an agent field that you would use to fill in things, you could go ahead and save that as a custom field, and that would be available to you where my mouse is circling on the left-hand side gray toolbar. All right, so one more big thing for text boxes. So I've noticed that if you do not do this next step, only one of your clients will be able to see the text box at all. So if you want all parties to be able to see the text box, you'll need to take this extra step, which I think you would off default. But on the right-hand side, if you scroll down, you'll see the collaboration option here. You'll want to go ahead and select that recipients can collaborate. and that will allow both of your clients to be able to view the field. If you do not click that, only the field that was originally laid, associated to the client, that person would be able to see that. Sorry, that was probably worded a little confusing, right? But you will want to go ahead and click on the collaboration option for them both to be able to see that. You can also use that collaboration option for situations like a residential property disclosure when you do want your clients to be able to collaborate on a field maybe. All right, so those are the options you'll want to select on the right-hand side, and then I'll go ahead and I can simply fill this in. So let's say I'll use their full name. Of course, depending on your compliance areas, typically, any changes to a signed form would require initial fields, just to mention that. So on the left-hand side, I could grab the initial fields for my clients to lay that in. All right, so you'll notice, a bunch of other options, a bunch of other fields that you can use on the left-hand side, like the name field, email, company, right? We'll see. Text boxes, that's a big one. Check boxes, radio dots. And there's a bunch of others that you can look through to see what you would use for your business primarily. Those are the main ones that I've seen being used. And then the final step before I send this off typically is I would click on the Recipient Preview option on the top right. And I would click on the, I can select the client who is viewing it. So if I want to see, to make sure they can see all the fields, right? So they can both see this field, for example, to see which fields they can sign. You can control who you're viewing it as on the top left here. And you can even click to start to actually go through and sign that as your client to make sure that you got everything laid correctly on the form and so forth. I personally like to do that just to cross-check myself. And of course, there's a tablet view and a mobile view option on the very top here. So I can X out on the top right of the recipient preview. Again, that's just to cross-check yourself. And once you're ready, you can go ahead and click send on the top right. That will send that over to your clients via email. Prompting them to electronically sign the form, and you will receive the form back once all parties have signed the form. Okay, so you'll receive a notification that one party has signed. However, you will not be able to view the fully signed form in your DocuSign room until all parties have signed that form. Same goes with any changes you made on the form in the envelope. You will not be able to view those changes on the form itself until after it's come back signed by all parties. And now we'll come back into the document section of your DocuSign room. I'll come back signed. But just while we're here in the envelope section also, if it's something that you need to sign, it will prompt you to sign right here in the envelope section. And you can click on sign. All right, guys, if you have any questions on that, please feel free to email us, support@scottleroymarketing.com, and we'd be more than happy to help out. Hope this helped, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.